Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Justin the Food Entrepreneur Show. I'm Justin Bizzarro. I'm your host. That's Bizzarro. For anyone who's out there, you can find us on Instagram at Justin the Food Entrepreneurs or at Justin Bizzarro. You can also find our food and beverage community at Gorilla Brave. Also, you can find this podcast and the other podcasts we do at Spotify or anywhere else you grow yourself through podcasts. So I have a very special guest back with us, Giovanni Pellegrino. How are you doing? Did I say it all correctly?
Yes, you did.
There we go. I still have a little bit of Italian in me. And let's talk your story. We have you back for a part 2. We've sort of heard the history of the business, part 1. But let's dive a little bit back into it again. Why pizza? I think let's cover that real quick. And then sort of, what life has been like the last 2 years building this business. And those rice balls on social media look really good too. So go ahead.
Well, first, why pizza? Why not? Who doesn't love pizza? Why not go into an industry that majority of most Americans just love? And including myself. Believe it or not, if I tell you, I've been in my own business since 2000, me and my brother. And there's not a time that if I'm traveling to like another town or something and I see a new pizzeria open up, I'm just curious to see what their pizza tastes like. Not there's a competition. It's because I love pizza and just curiosity gets me. And I just want to know what their pizza tastes like. And maybe I could learn something or just get an idea here and there and just see what else is out there. So as far as that, yeah, I mean, I love what I do. And what has it been past 2 years? It's definitely been challenging. Definitely social media. Definitely, I've been trying to improve a lot of my social media, trying to learn. Actually, I'm going through right now, trying to learn AI. Actually, I'm not doing so well with it, but you know what? That's always a beginning. When I used to do live Facebook feeds, in the beginning, I was just like, didn't know what to say and didn't know what to do, but I just kept on forcing myself to be out there, and I just built a knack for just being just genuine. Like, I used to write things down, and I used to just read it. Like, you could tell that I was just reading, and it just looked horrible. So I just decided not to do that, and I just started just picking a topic in my head, like for instance, like you said, rice balls, right? So I would just go into that live feed about rice balls. I know everything about it because I make it. So what's there? I don't need to write anything. I know it tastes delicious because I eat it all the time. So it was just something that I knew and I knew well and I knew how to do well. And it just became a natural. And I can't tell you how many people come up to me in my restaurant or if I'm going shopping. I just want to let you know, my wife watches all your videos. I just want to let you know, I love your videos. You make me smile every day. The passion you have, the smile you have, it just makes my day. I look forward to you. And I'm just saying to myself, what am I doing? I'm just talking. And that's it. I'm just being me. So I just realized so just being me and just not trying to be somebody else and just showing the passion that I have because I do, it was more than enough. And I can't tell you how many people, I follow me. I have, I guess, I built 9,000 followers on Facebook, which I do pretty well for a small little town.
Yeah.
I don't even know if there's 3,500 who live in my town, but apparently I got 9,000, that follow me, and just keep on doing it. Like my wife said, she had a little teary eye because somebody made a little comment about my AI. They made a comment that if you're going to use AI, make sure the person doesn't have 6 fingers or something. And I seen it. And I was like, oh wow. But I'm learning. That's a lesson learned, and to pay more attention to certain things. And people don't understand, like, why do I use AI? I just started doing it, and my answer to that one is, I'm in the restaurant kitchen and I'm working, and I create a special and I want to do something and I want to post it. So in the middle of the rush, I might sell a special and it looks so beautiful, exactly how I thought it. And I just want to share it real fast because somebody out there is you know, wondering where they want to eat. I want to capture that. I want to capture them saying, "Hey, I just saw this post on Pellegrinos to Chef Joe. Let's go eat it." But a lot of times my surroundings aren't where I want it to be because I'm in the kitchen. I have things, all over the place. It's not my typical studio setting. I used to do photography on the side and you prep, you prop your stuff and make it look picture perfect. But when I'm in the middle of a rush, it's a lot harder said and done. Even if I did photography on the side, just one, it just can't be. So a lot of the AI photos, yeah, it might not be my photo, but the more surrounding of that picture is a lot more welcoming to the eye than sometimes me showing a beautiful dish with disturbing backgrounds in the background. So it's, you know, again, I have to play around with it, but that's where I'm at right now. So I'm just trying to make things a little bit easier, make it more eye catching. I'm not trying to sell something that I don't do because what I do is perform magic and I've built that reputation. So I have no shame of showing a picture that might have not been what I've created. The idea is to get you inside and you're gonna enjoy what you have because that's what I deliver. So it's just a message, and people are just taking a little bit out of, bent out of proportion, should I say? But that's what I'm doing right now. So that's the struggles or where I'm at the past couple years. Just trying to make things a little bit more easier for me, but also try to be ahead of the game. And I feel that AI definitely is something that everybody's trying to do, and I'm not scared of putting myself into something I don't know nothing about and trying to learn from it. And maybe 6 months from now, I'm saying, you know what? I put my time in. I've done it. It's not. It's not me. Maybe I'll decide then. But my hands are still wet, and just trying to put as much time as I can to give myself that determination or, you know, judgment call if I'm going to go forward with this or just put it away and just go to something else.
Yeah, it's my thing is this, and I went through this as well, and I am an early adapter to AI for sure, even though I generally have resisted a lot of parts of it. But as a business person, as a business owner, and understanding that we always are in the forefront of social media on whatever, and if we don't get there, we don't latch on to these trends, it definitely hurts our businesses instead of helps them. Automation, things like that. It's just the way of the world. And, within reason, I'm not talking about like creating a device to steal people's credit card numbers. What we're talking about here
Yeah,
is just to automate a system here to make it easier for the entrepreneur who still also has a restaurant to run. That we have so many ideas and things in small businesses that we have to do: marketing, advertising, accounting, sales, all which is different than marketing and advertising. So then there's sales. Oh, and by the way, and then there's public relations, all that, and that's just a piece. So yeah, there's a lot going on in photography and hiring professionals and paying things when we're trying to build a business and take care of the employees we have already can be difficult. So
absolutely.
I think that this is one of the solutions. I think for me, it's helped organize my life and my calendars in ways that I couldn't imagine. I couldn't be doing what we're doing now as we're launching Gorilla Brave for the food and beverage entrepreneur community, the stuff on the podcast, the way everything's being tied together, my experience without the help of taking something like AI and being able to filter it through and have it break down into lessons for me to help understand the way that I can deliver this to the audience in a way that everyone's asking for educationally. Like I said, everyone keeps hearing me say this, but I never intended the podcast to be so educational based or so knowledge based or so impactful to the entrepreneur community. I was trying to help build the reputation of the businesses similar to influencers and social media, the thing, but in a different way, telling the story, also contributing in the entrepreneurs' development and their development of me through having conversations like this. But what I will say is we never know what the future's going to bring. We never know what our customers really like or don't like until we put it out there. And, and if you don't listen, like you're going to be in trouble. And if you can listen and do it better with the help of technology, it is the world we live in. So I know everyone's like, oh, 3 fingers or whatever. I mean, come on, a Smurf only has 3 fingers and the Ninja Turtles only have 4. So, I mean, we could argue all we want about creative design. It's still
I know.
design, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I laugh a little bit, but having the courage to put it out there is a big deal. So, talk to me about. Go ahead. Do you want to
Go ahead.
comment
No,
on
no, no. Go
anything I
ahead.
said?
No, no, no. No, 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 no. I totally agree. And, again, I'm going to put my time in and give it a chance, because I really feel this is where the industry is going. And I want to be, because I've always felt that I've been a couple steps ahead of the game. I have to do this to continue that legacy, to continue to be on top and not trying to catch up. It's so much harder trying to catch up instead of already been there, have that much more experience and a little bit of advanced knowledge into it. So, yeah, I'm still going to do it.
Let's talk about other ways that you're constantly advancing yourself, your skill, your business, things that you're practicing. I mean, AI is definitely one that I think everyone has to start to look at, but what else?
Uh, I mean, again, I read. That's all I do. It's like, I have 3 days off, but I really don't. I'm constantly looking for things. I'm constantly looking to better myself. Uh, I I enjoy making something for the first time, and everybody loves it and says, I can't tell you how many times people say this needs to be on the menu. This needs to be on the menu. But after I feel like done something, and that's no sounds crazy because I own a restaurant and that's your idea, right? To create something everybody loves. That's it. Like my job is complete. Now I'm looking for something else. What else can I make? I own an Italian restaurant. Can I make some form of just chicken and biscuits and gravy and turn that something Italian? So that's my challenge. Because I live from the South, how can I make something? How could I put those two together and still, make it different from being, making it Italian? So that's always my challenge of just trying to do certain things. So even though I accomplished what I wanted to do, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna just put the one shot wonder and put it down. No, I'll do it a couple of times and do it like that. But then I'm always looking for challenges. I'm always looking for something I've never done because I want to educate myself and learn something new. And I feel my library just keeps on growing. And I love the fact that I'm learning, even though I've have so many recipes in my head and some things just come natural. People a lot of times at lunchtime, they'll tell my brother, like, how does he do this? How does he just create this? And I just tell them, honestly, I had no idea of this recipe until I stepped foot into this restaurant and I looked at shiitake mushrooms and I said, all right, I'm going to do something with shiitake mushrooms. And I see that there's chorizo inside my walk-in box. I'm going to put those two together and make a dish. And I had no idea of it. And then I create this magic that everybody's like, this is incredible that you just created this like just today. And I'm just like, yeah, literally like an hour ago. So when you have that kind of knowledge of cooking and expertise, you can just build, like a builder that knows how to build so many houses. He doesn't necessarily need, what's it called, a plan. He kind of knows what he has to do to build something. He's done it so many times. You give him wood and all the tools that he needs, and he could put something together. That's how I feel like in the kitchen. Like I have all the tools in front of me. I have the equipment and the tools. I could put things together. I don't really need recipes sometimes. I kind of know which one complements the other. And sometimes I'll just taste. Obviously, I have a lot of hungry cooks in my kitchen that are willing to taste something different that I make. And I always go to them before I send it out to the public. And they love their job of tasting.
Yeah, I can imagine. What
But
go on.
No. I just, again, I'm just constantly just trying to learn something new, and that's all I do. I'm always reading. I read so many books. I can't tell you honestly. I probably buy about 2 to 3 books a week, and I'll just go through them on my days off. And my goal is, if I could get 2 or 3 ideas, then it was well worth the purchase for me. And then sometimes I don't see anything. I didn't get anything from this book. I didn't feel like anything. I'll put it aside and say my mind is not ready there yet. And I'll go back to it in 2 years or maybe a year and say, you know what? Let me look at that book again. My head wasn't really there. I was looking in one vision. Let me see if I could see something. And then sure enough, I'm opening up and I'm flipping the pages that didn't capture anything in my mind. And there it is. It just pops up and I'm like, this is what I've been looking for. So it's, nothing's always, a lost cause. I always go back to it a couple of years later and just see, you know, if I could see things from a different perspective and try to capture that moment. So that's my life.
Yeah, it's amazing. I like this a lot. I'm a avid reader as well. I read nonstop, even if I'm in a car. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts. I've gone back into books on tape, or sorry, audiobooks. And but I agree with that. And I've actually just started re-listening to some of the audiobooks that I've had for, a couple of decades, refreshing myself, some of the leadership concepts, philosophy, stuff like that. Definitely all growth related. Some of the food books that I've re-listened to, I found interesting trends and the way it works if I go back and listen to some of those. So I totally agree with this. The creativity, the drive, the YouTube or the Facebook feeds, the entertainment side, the what you're doing, what is the drive here? Because it's unusual. I don't think everyone finds such purpose in what you do, but you're doing it. So what's the drive there? Why do you keep doing it? What keeps
Well,
you, I mean, that's just
the
crazy.
drive, the drive really is, it's, it's almost like if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So I could see a big difference when I'm active and I'm non-active, meaning my social media. So there might be weeks that I'm just so busy and I'm just like, I just don't have time to do a live feed. I don't have time to talk about my specials. I could actually feel the difference in my business, the way of motion, the the decline, should I say, because I'm just not out there. So when people, even though they know I'm there, but if I don't refresh their memory and just pop up on their feeds every day, then that memory just gets lost because somebody else is going to take that spot. And then they're going to be curious to that one that's taken my space now and be like, oh, you know what? Tony's. Let me see what Tony's is doing. Yeah, I'm right. I'm in that town. I'm only 5 minutes away. You lose your spot. So I feel that really it's a drive slash it's something that I feel I have to do. And when I do it, I could feel the flow. The flow might be normal, and when I press it sometimes, I can even feel the flow increasing. I hear it every time. So it's just 100% proof. And it's just people say, "Oh, we're here because my wife saw your video this morning about the rice balls, for instance, or that pasta dish." So I know it works. So what did they cost me to make that video or picture of the rice balls? It cost me nothing. But what did I gain? Even if I gained 2 customers or 3 customers, that's better than nothing. That was 3 customers that weren't deciding on coming to my restaurant. And because of that photo, I've created whatever, $200-300 in revenue because of that photo. And it was absolutely free. So you tell me, what's the cost of that? I do my own marketing because I'm able to save. And yes, I put a lot of time in, but it's amazing how fast it works. Like I could do a Valentine's and say, hey, put your reservations in. And soon as I'm done, for instance, my meatballs, we just did for the first time ever, we did a jumbo stuffed meatball, which I always do. It's not on the menu, and I do it every, say, 3, 4 months. But for the first time ever, I decided to do it every Friday of the month of January. Didn't know,
I
didn't.
love the giant meatball AI work. I'm going to tell you, I loved it. Anyway, go
Oh,
on.
thank you.
Go
Oh,
on.
yes. I thought that was genius, and I will not change something like that.
Yeah. Go on.
Um, Thank you. And I didn't realize I had 5 Fridays in January, but I gave a man my word, and I was like, "Oh, wow." So I had to do 5 Fridays. But again, it was the first time that I've done it consecutive. Not only consecutive, listen to the stats. January's always been our slowest month of the year. So that's when I decided, well, why not bring jumbo meatballs to the slowest month of the year? I didn't make the busiest month of the year, but I've made it the busiest January since we opened in 16 years. Not only did we make it the busiest January open, a couple of weeks ago, we broke a record having the busiest Friday ever on the slowest month that we always have of January because of my meatballs. So that's what makes me do what I do, because the minute I put it out there and I say, I have 15 meatballs available, I have all of them reserved, I got 15 left, reserve yours now. By the time I end that video, my phones are ringing off the hook. He said, we got meatballs left. I want to get 4. I want to get 2. I want to get this. It's all gone within the hour. So that's the reason why I do what I do, because that's the motivation.
I love
So
the
it's
giant meatball. I think it's brilliant. Stuffed meatball. It's a brilliant concept. And what a way of bringing people into your business.
from from kids to
Yeah.
adults, it's amazing. The kids more so, because it's something so big. They feel so challenged to try to eat it, which they never can.
Yeah.
But you can't tell a kid to not have a challenge. So,
I like this. Talk to me about your interaction with the employees, with the customers, because you're a jolly guy. Part of the reason you do the Facebook stuff is you get to interact with people. I think that's why people say you smile or you bring light to their day. I think you're just you emote that energy, or admit it. I emote's the wrong word, but in an emotional way, you shower happiness, even it's in your food and love and all that. And we've talked about this before, but talk to me about the interactions with the employees, the customers. What does that look like for you on a daily basis?
oh, I constantly interact. I mean, I interact when I'm doing live feeds. The minute somebody sees me in the front, I always tell them. They're like, "Oh, I don't see you," because I'm always in the kitchen now, and I joke around saying, "Oh, my brother allows me 20 minutes a day to be outside and to greet my customers," like if I was in jail or prison, and they love it. I just love I love to put smiles in people's faces, and honestly, from my food is my biggest, enjoyment. So when I see somebody that really enjoys what I do with food, it just makes me smile as well. And then they come to me like, in fact, just the other day, I was the meatball. It was my last Friday, the meatball. And my server said, this table would like to talk to you. It was like a table of 8 people, and some of them follow me all the time. And one gentleman was talking about the meatball, saying like, "Oh, that meatball, it was a lot bigger than the meatball I have." And my first comment was, "Well, I have a really good eye doctor that if you're interested." Because, and then the whole table started laughing. I said, "I could assure you, every meatball is weighed to the ounce. There is no difference." Everybody was just laughing. But the real strange thing is, a lot of them follow me on Facebook, and 2 of them they took out their phones and they were recording me as I was talking, like I was some type of celebrity or something, and it felt so weird because I never really. I mean, I've had people come and say, "Hey, can I take a picture of you, Chef Gio?" I get that all the time, and I love it, but I never had them, like, just wanted me to talk, just keep going, and they're recording me like again, like I was like like, I can't believe, this person's in front of me. We're recording this moment. And it was really strange for me. It was really, I'm not going to say awkward, but it was almost like, what is going on? Like, so that was definitely different. But I love interacting. I love talking with my customers. Even when I do the live feed, my glasses, I can't really see the text sometimes. So that's why I got to get really close because from a distance, I can't see if anybody's responding, but I love responding to people, and I try my best. I had a gentleman one time ask about my Google reviews, and he never came to my restaurant. He said, but I'm going to go to your restaurant because I've searched and I've read every single one of your reviews, and you have responded to every single one because I've never seen anybody do something like that. And I said, well, I tried my best. And he goes, and for that reason, he goes, I am going to make my time to come visit you at your restaurant. So again, that's interacting. And again, I try my best. Sometimes I have so many platforms that it's hard for me to respond to every question or every comment because I won't find them until like 3 weeks later and sometimes even months later, and I feel so bad. But I'll say, "Hey, I'm just so sorry. I just seen this." But then again, I try to respond. But I try my best, even on my days off. Sometimes, someone will say, "Hey, we were just at your restaurant. Yeah, I think I left my credit card." And we're off 3 days, but I'm not gonna let the person wait 3 days to find out if they had a credit card, so I'm like, "Hey, listen, I'll go to the restaurant tomorrow." They're like, "But I know you're off." I said, "Well, I'm not gonna let you wait." So, I drove to my restaurant, and sure enough, there's a place that we always put all the credit cards if somebody left them, and I called her and said, "Yes, we do have your credit card, and we open on Wednesday." And they're like, thank you so much." I said, "No problem." It's things like that, I don't mind going that little extra step just to, you know, make sure someone feels a little bit even secure than knowing that we have their credit card, not worry 3 days until we open up. Other people will be like, "You know what? I'm off. I'll deal with it when I go back to work." I can't, so I always try to do my best when it comes to that.
Do you think someone ingrained that in you? Was there a mentor or a person or a parent, teacher?
Uh, I I don't know. I mean, my parents, they taught us well, but I just think it was, yeah, I guess it was out of like respect and just I guess my father always taught us how to do the right thing, and I guess at that moment, as I felt, that's the right thing to do. Like, would you want to, if you were in that shoes, not knowing where your credit card is, would you, what would you be like doing in 3 days, not knowing versus, wow, this guy just went out of his way and just to assure me that he has a credit card. Now you could at least relax and say, at least I know where it is, and I don't have to worry about canceling this and being terrified if somebody's making charges or something. I just feel a lot of things. It's just the right thing to do. And again, my mother and father definitely have taught us that.
What is it like? I mean, you guys moved the business. I don't remember how long ago. That's correct, right? If I remember correctly, you moved it. You've rebuilt it. You're in a new community. You're
Yeah.
rebuilding. You're now a part of a community. Let's talk about that because now it went from you're the newcomers to now you're interacting. You're part of the community. 9,000 followers. People are recording you. Talk to me about that little journey really quickly. Lessons, life, the feeling of it all.
Well, when we had our restaurant in New Jersey, our home was in a different town where our restaurant was, and I always wanted to be in the same town as where my restaurant was because I wanted to be part of the community. So that was definitely both of our decisions, me and my brothers. So having that was definitely beautiful. Yes, we were the newcomers, and now, we've been I think going on 17 years. Yeah, the reputation and just again, walking into like a food line, I could go 20 miles out and there'll be a chance, not all the time, but someone visiting or knows who I am, and they'll just I can see somebody looking at me, and I and I know, okay, maybe they know me, and then they'll say, "How's Pellegrino's Trattoria doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's doing good." It's like, "Yeah, we love your restaurant." And you could tell they just want you to know, "Hey, I know who you are," or somebody again, I could be shopping and sometimes a lady will just come from behind and just touch my shoulder and just say, "I just love your videos. Keep up the good work." It just makes me feel good, hearing that. I never get it's never I never gets boring, hearing somebody say that they love my food or love what I do. They love my smile. It never gets boring. Sometimes to my wife, she doesn't like, wherever we go, there's always somebody that knows who we are, even if it's 30, 40 miles out. She's like, I can't believe you guys know my husband's restaurant or know of him. And so, but she likes it sometimes, but there's sometimes she's like, oh my God, I can't go anywhere without you, without them knowing who you are. But it's not like crazy like that. But sometimes, you do. I'll run into somebody. But I love being part of the community. I always did. I always wanted to. I feel like one hand washes the other. So, if I gotta get tires, I'm just gonna be inside the town. If I gotta get oil change, I'm gonna pay that back, into the community. There's other food establishments. I go there too. I don't just because I own a restaurant doesn't mean I don't eat breakfast. So I love to go back. There's a nice bakery in our town. So I love to give back to the town, give back to the community. So it's definitely a big part of our business, you know, um, and even the employees, just feeling that I have, I think, 26 or 28 employees working for me. I feel good that I employing, 28 people from this town and giving them some kind of sense of security, that they're supporting, their families in some ways or themselves. So yeah,
Uh,
it's a good feeling.
Absolutely. One of the things I often talk about, and I'm trying to reinforce definitely on this show, is as food and beverage entrepreneurs, particularly in restaurants, we actually have more influence and impact on humans than any other business, than any other field, than any other way of life, okay, or lifestyle that humans go on. I'm talking about coaching too, all of those things. And like I've done the math, I've tried to look at it in a million different ways possible, but we have the ability to spread positivity, kindness, love, breaking bread, family, unit, core values, whatever we want, bad or good. I just name the good things as entrepreneurs. And one of the reasons I've asked Giovanni to come back on the show is because, like, one of the things I remember most about him is the most powerful thing about his business is he exports positivity and joy. Okay. His vehicle is food, but the business itself core is what I just said, joy. Okay. Is there adventure? Yeah. Giant meatballs, rice balls, different menu items, chorizo, pasta, so is there? Yes. But what I'm saying is the core value, the thing that brings life to the business is that, and what does it spill into? It doesn't only spill into the business, it spills into the community, it spills into the lifestyle. So as entrepreneurs, the way we live is also echoed in our business, whether we realize it or not, whether we tie it or see it as directly as I just did, or we just did in this show or not. Even bad habits, we attract those with the same bad habits as us. It's a weird thing, but we do in our businesses. And that just means that bad habit gets that much bigger. So it's just one of the things that I want to focus on. Will we export how we deal with spiritual maladies, problems, setbacks, how we handle them in front of people as business leaders, things like that, and make sure that there's still joy there, all matters. Because at the end of the day, the cookie crumbles and we still go on, our existence still goes on, happy, sad, or indifferent. So as entrepreneurs, we have the ability to have this influence on people, to have this impact on them. I think it's very, very, very important. We understand the Spider-Man motto, with great power comes great responsibility. We were talking about that great power by serving public, by serving our community, by supporting our local businesses. That's how we do the right thing. We have a lot of power with our dollars as consumers, even as entrepreneurs in our businesses, that our businesses buy a lot. What are we doing with it? And I think that that's one of the things I love about Giovanni and his business so much, or him as a human. So let's talk a little bit more about where this goes. Like you're on a path that's obviously 16, 17 years in. How do you ensure that this continues to keep going, or that there's individuals that can sort of, if something happens, that someone can cook for you on weekends? Like, how do you invest in the employees you talked about around you, from that perspective, from a skill level, from a training perspective? What I would call one of the most beautiful things about food and food entrepreneurism and the food business is there's still apprenticeship.
Absolutely. One of the things, the biggest setback in that is they feel that they can't do it. So they feel that, you know, they think that they can't do what you can do. And you just have to assure them that, yes, it's possible. You can. It's just that you're always there and you always take them out of a situation sometimes when it gets too hectic. But it's because it's what you're trained and what you're able to do. It's natural instincts as an owner, and just, just being a leader. It's just a natural instinct. They can do it. They just don't know that they can. So it's like putting someone that knows kind of how to swim, and they're afraid of swimming. You just take the tube off. They're going to swim. It's their, when you put them out there in that situation where they have no other choice but to go forward, but to move, to swim, they're going to swim. So you have to show them that they can. So a lot of times, that being said, is like, so I'll pick a day, like sometimes like a Thursday, I might be like a little bit overstaffed, should I say. So I'll do it on purpose for that moment. So I'm going to step back and I'm going to let you guys run it. And I'm going to be expediting, watching over you. Don't worry about it. If it gets out of hand, I'll be here to help. So that kind of assurance kind of ensures them, say, hey, well, okay, because John's here, and if it gets out of control, he's gonna get me out of it. But when they realize, but did I go into the other side? Did I help you today? You did a good job. Did Was I there to help you get you out of it? No, because you could do it.
Yeah,
So it's that kind of assurance to letting them know that they can do it, and it's that they're always looking like, they're looking for the out. Sometimes they have to look at it as a leader mentality. I'm gonna get this done. At the end of the day, that's it. It's over. When we close at 9 o'clock, we close at 9 o'clock. So I got to do these tickets till 9 o'clock. That's the worst case scenario. That's it. It doesn't go out. You're not going to go home in a week because you think you got all these tickets that you have to do first. No, you'll get it done. Just one ticket at a time, and eventually you'll realize how fast those tickets disappear. And they overlook sometimes, and they put panic in them for no reason. And you're just trying to educate them and trying to make them see in a different way. And then you're just giving that kind of sense of security, a different concept of looking at things. And not everybody, but you pick the ones that you can. But I always try to train everybody in that aspect, because I want them to feel that they can do it, and I want them to all feel that they can do it. I don't just say, hey, I think this one's capable of doing this, so I'm just going to focus on this. No, I try to even things out with everybody. But then if I do see someone, that's probably been like once or twice where someone just really couldn't really handle the stress of that altitude and really folded instead of just hanging in there. So that's what you want. Just them, they're going to feel the stress, and that's good because it teaches them. But you're looking for them just to just hang on to that, and just before you know it, it's going to disappear. But you don't want it to go backwards. You don't want it where they can't even focus at all, even think in front of them, and everything is falling apart. They're dropping things and they're panicking, the body's shaking. No, then you realize, okay, maybe this is not for them. It's okay. We tried, and that's it, But I probably had that incident maybe once or twice, but it still wouldn't stop me from letting everybody at least try to experience that kind of leadership and try to experience that. Yes. So, there are times where I might say, "Hey, I think you can handle this. I'm just going to go to the store and just get a couple things," and before you know it, now instead of like, "Oh my God, like, how about we get a special? Who's going to do the special?" No, you're going to do the special because I taught you how to do the special. I taught you how my philosophy is of cooking certain things, and this is my protocols, and this is how what I would do first in this situation. So you know how to do it, and they do. They do a great job.
Yeah, I think that sponsorship is what a little bit mentorship, coaching, the ability to allow the individuals and environment to succeed and fail and learn and be able to ask questions, but it's a contained guidance. There's a great movie, guys, called The Forge, actually, by and someone who's been on this podcast. His name's Kendall Duffy of Deep Sea Vegan out of Nashville. His family was a part of that movie. It talks about this. So I emphasize everyone to go see The Forge. It came out last year in 2024 time period over last summer. But the reason I say it is because it's important in the way that we guide individuals, because taking them somewhere is different than giving them the confidence to get there. And I just, and that's hard for everyone to understand because we want the best for everyone, but the falls, the ability to help teach them and condition me included to be, oh, you're not going so well here. I wouldn't do it that way. I would do it this way. Like, that helps us learn. That helps us understand that feedback's important. It helps us get used to a feedback loop so we can grow. So having a sponsor, being a mentee, being a mentor, sponsee, however you want to look at these relationships or call the title coach, player, apprentice, master, all signify something the same, but the goal is always to have them outgrow you. I think that's part of it, and ability to stand on their own for sure, as we just talked about. Is there anything you want to talk about? Anything maybe we didn't discuss that you feel you want to say, or any advice you want to give to any entrepreneurs out there or any individuals trying to lead in their businesses or bring positivity or core values like yours into their business?
Well, definitely. I mean, my only advice to them is everybody is their own individual. No one can ever be you. No one can ever be me, nor can I be somebody else. We're all our own individual. So I think a lot of times people expect somebody to be like them or do what they do. And that's just not the right approach. You want them to be able to do the things that you do, but we're all different in our own ways. So let them do it the way you want them to do it, but their way. So, they still identify as themselves doing things that you ask them to do instead of them trying to be you. Because I think a lot of times people are like, they're so gung ho about, just doing exactly. And, they get upset because they don't think like them. Well, nobody could think like you. Nobody could think like me. I can't think like anybody else. We're all our own individual. You could teach me as much as you can, but at the end of the day, we all have our ways of thinking. We think different. I mean, the formula you try to teach, the quality you could teach. You could teach so many things, but you can't expect someone to think 24/7 exactly how you think. That's not possible. But you just understand that and just kind of work with that, and I think you'll do fine. You know, I think sometimes you have to put the ego down a little bit, and then and you'll be okay. And then instead of like, oh, and nobody's not gonna be like that. You can't make it like get out of the way. That's not the way of doing it. You need encouragement. You need to tell them, hey, you know, there might be a person that's cooking, right? And I'm not crazy about everything he's doing, but the only way to make him better is to pinpoint the things that he's good at instead of just constantly telling the things that he's not good at. To say, hey, that sear that you did on the shrimp and the consistency of that sauce was perfect. I wouldn't adjust anything. You have nailed it 100% exactly the way I would do it. Given that encouragement that they can do it, then they wouldn't be afraid of trying to do that to something else. But if I constantly said, hey, listen, you're not doing this right. You're not doing this right. You're not doing this right. Pay attention to this because you're not doing this right. And what do you think their next dish is going to come out? Not right, because you brainwash that into them. But reverse it and say, hey, you made an incredible shrimp dish with the sauce perfect. Bravo. What did you do? You gave them like a sense of, confidence. And what are they going to bring to the next dish? Confidence. That's it.
I love it. Where can they find you guys online? Where can they find your Facebook? Where can they find your restaurant? Let's start. Can we divulge all of that for the audience, please? Because I love what you're doing, and I encourage everyone to follow you on Facebook Live and any of the things you do. I hope you do a YouTube channel. I think there's all sorts of things that I have hopes for, including like behind the scenes stuff and how you make all of your crazy things, videos like YouTube. I think that would be fun as well because, I see all the reviews, I see all the comments. But anyway, where can they find you?
Find me at Pellegrinos Trattoria on Instagram. Facebook is my number one. I'm trying my best to Instagram. Just getting my hands wet with TikTok, and my biggest challenge. I know it's like I stayed away from it, and now it's like I don't know.
Me too. I'm going right in there. Justin.Ryan.Bizzarro. I'll follow you too, but I'm just like, all right, being encouraged by my supporters and my PR and my manager. Like if I want things to continue to do well, I got to continue to branch out. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Let's start all over again. Tell us. Go ahead.
No, it's Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As Facebook being the highest. Pellegrino's Trattoria in Troutman, North Carolina. But my biggest challenge for 2025 is to focus more on YouTube because I do have a channel, but I pay very little attention to, which I need to focus more on. So that's going to be something new that I'm going to bring to 2025.
Yeah, I agree. And anyone else out there, the age group, the kids that are being being born, as well as elementary school, going into high school and middle school, I can't believe how much they use YouTube. So
Yeah.
it's an important thing. It's going to be important, very important business avenue. If we haven't already seen it already, just wait. It's also why if you look at Google Podcasts, guys, it's now YouTube Podcasts, and Google Music has moved over to YouTube Music because they understand that all of a sudden there's a whole demographic that's captured there that's not captured in the demographic that used to be in Google Podcasts or Google Music. So, but realizing the same thing, they're like, oh, Justin, it's time to go to video. You need to record a whole year. And then as soon as that you hit that year mark, we're going to start preparing for video. So I understand where you're coming from. The video thing is a whole other level for me for the podcast because I like getting them done and editing them and getting them done and getting them done. So it's going to be a challenge. So that's going to be my challenge as well this year. YouTube, starting to prepare for that for next year, as well as TikTok. I get it. I just need to embrace it. So they're going to steal my information no matter what, apparently. So I'm putting it out there publicly anyway. So let's just embrace it. Thank you again, Giovanni. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your message. I'd love to have you on again sometime and continue to talk about all your stuff and your creativity and all of that. So Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone in
Thank
the audience, for listening in. I appreciate you guys. Continue to like, share the episode, subscribe. We're seeing the numbers build again as we get moving again in this, what I'll call season, since we're really doing the push now, a long-term push, because we've pivoted to do this full time now. And so that's the way God works for me, honestly. So please, thank you for all the support. If you like the entrepreneurs that are on here, like their episode, comment on it, subscribe to the thing so the algorithm picks up on it, obviously, but also more importantly, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, go to TikTok, go to YouTube. And if you're in North Carolina, go try the food. And if I can convince this guy to get on Goldbelly so he can sell his monster meatballs frozen and ship them directly to homes, we might be on to something, guys, because
we,
I think that this guy right here, his rice balls, his monster meatballs, they need to go on Goldbelly. We'll see what happens.
you never know.
Never know. So, all right. Thank you, everyone, and we're out.